5-28 run with the complimentary plays here on the video report after a 2-0 sweep yesterday, giving you the Rangers over Detroit and also the Blue Jays on the run line and an easy rout of the LA Angels. Today, two more complimentary plays coming up in just a moment. Going to return to the Detroit-Texas series, plus take a look at the Wrigley Field wrap-up between the Braves and the Cubs for the weekend. And I'm going to give you my preseason notes on all three NFL games today as well. That's all coming up in just a moment. Now, yesterday, you may recall if you tried to come here to the sites and catch my video report early, I was a little late because I was also a little late putting my site up yesterday morning because I had to wait to see what the first half prices were in various games yesterday, and they generally don't go up until about 10:30, 10:45 Eastern time. Now, the game I was specifically looking at was, of course, my best bet yesterday, the game involving Minnesota and Oakland. The Vikings were a 4.5-point favorite straight up in the game on the money line. However, generally, when you see a 4.5 number for the game, you're generally looking at a 2.5 to 3-point number for a halftime price. And that's the line that I was looking for. If it was anything more than 3, I was going to change my plays yesterday. But I felt that strongly that I wanted to just hold things up yesterday morning, delay things just a bit, wait to see what the price was, saw the number was 3, and then I released it. My third preseason play of the season. And it was a 15-dime release, which matches the normal top-rated play of my career. And I'd like to personally thank Shaun Hill, the journeyman quarterback, who threw the touchdown pass with 11 seconds to go in the first half to give the Minnesota Vikings a 13-9 lead to give me and you the cover in the game. Listen, guys, it doesn't matter how you win because when you go to the window today with your ticket, they don't say, oh, you won it in the final 11 seconds. Sorry, we're going to discount that money we're going to give you. No, it doesn't work that way. It's a win or a loss. And Shaun Hill, thank you very, very much. Sometimes the best laid plans don't go exactly the way you think they will, and you win for the wrong reasons, but that's okay. Again, I thought that was a game that it was not a very good investment strategy to go and take the Vikings for the entire game, even though they would have covered that 4.5-point spread. That number, that situation, I thought the first half play was mandated. Now, I got to be honest with you. Today's 3 NFL games, I don't see anything there of value. I can't even tell you which side I like in each one of the games because each one of them are flawed, but I'll get to them in just a moment. Let me also talk today about, a guy that lost yesterday. Brad Wilson, after cashing in with all 5 200-dime releases, the biggest plays of his career in baseball over the previous 3 weeks, he lost a play yesterday, guys. Lost a 200-dimer. The St. Louis Cardinals, I think they're still striking out last night against the San Diego Padres at Petco Park. Absolutely on the wrong side of that game. And you know what? The bottom line is this. He is still 13-3. 13-3 with 100-dime, 150-dime, and 200-dime plays. All major wager releases over the past 5 weeks. 13 out of 16, and you've gotten them all at over half price off. So again, I say props to Brad because I am just a firm believer, as I've told you before, that when you build a bankroll, the way to make that bankroll grow up and go to college is you've got to take shots when you're playing with somebody else's money. And he took a hell of a lot of shots and won 13 out of 15 before losing yesterday. Now, today, the big featured play, Scott Delaney. You know, Scott Delaney with 100-dime plays in all sports combined, 81-58 over the past 4 years. Today, one and only 150-dime NL Game of the Year. Arizona and Cincinnati, it's the half-price play of the day as I continue to show you that you don't have to spend big money to make big money. Keep in mind, this play matches his first ever 150-dime play in 12 years in the site in college basketball. That little game in the Final Four when Duke destroyed Michigan State by 20 points. This play is just as strong. From a guy who has made $10 bettors over the past 13 weeks since the middle of May, over $8,000. Hell, you look at the 60-dime play that he had yesterday on the Padres. He was on the other side of the Wilson game as a $1.25 dog. The 30-dimer he had on the Chiefs and Seahawks under on Friday night. The 20-dimer he had on the Bills outright at Cleveland on Thursday. Those 3 plays, put them together, this play is even stronger. It's the half-price play of the day from a guy who with 50-dime plays or higher over the past 4 years has made $10 bettors over $38,700. Half price play of the day today simply by using coupon code 150DIMER, 150DIMER, 150DIMER. In terms of football today, the winningest handicapper at this site over the past 5 years, no ifs, ands, or buts, hands down, it is Shawn Michaels, who has made $10 bettors a little over 30 grand in that stretch today. 25-time preseason winner, number 3 out of 4. His Sunday night preseason lock of the year, Rams Titans side, 72, 42, and 4 in the NFL over the past 5 or 6 seasons it is. And just like the first 3 plays he's had this preseason, you get it for $24. Save $75 off the regular price by using coupon code FOOTBALL. FOOTBALL. Can't make it any easier than that. And finally, Sunday night, well, that's been the domain of Matt Rivers. Tonight, Matt Rivers, Sunday night game of the year. Top-rated 5,000-star winner, number 13 out of 16. It's a Sunday night game of the year, number 6 in a row. 5 straight Sundays, 5 straight 500,000-star plays, 5 straight winners. You've gotten them all at a discount. Today, no different. Save $70. You get it by using coupon code MATT, M-A-T-T. Just as strong and the same price that you got as 500,000-star winner yesterday. The Cubs on the run line, getting the job done at home against the Braves. Top-rated 500,000-star winner, number 13 out of 16 overall. Okay, let's get to your complimentary plays here. First game, I'm going to go with the Texas Rangers once more, this time with Cole Hamels making his 4th start for Texas since being acquired from Philadelphia. Listen, he certainly hasn't pitched like the ace they thought he would be, but I saw some encouraging signs from a guy I followed for years because I've always been naturally a Phillies fan. In a 4-3 win against Seattle on Monday, he didn't get the decision, but he only gave up 3 runs on 7 hits, did walk 4 batters, but did strike out 8 after missing his previously scheduled start because of a groin pull. Matt Boyd making a 6th career start for the Detroit Tigers. He's one of the guys that came over in the David Price trade from the Toronto Blue Jays. Now listen, in his Tigers debut, he threw a gem against the Kansas City Royals. Just a great game. 7 innings, 1 run ball, okay? Now this is his 6th career start. They've all come this year. If you throw out that one good start he had in his Detroit debut, his other 4 starts this season, 2 for the Tigers and 2 for the Blue Jays, 17 innings pitched, 30 hits allowed, 19 runs allowed, 7 homers served up. That's good enough reason for me to go with the Rangers as they look to make it 3 out of 4 in the series. And, of course, they've won 8 of their last 10 overall, and they moved into 2nd place in the wild card race for the 2nd spot. They hold that right now by virtue of the Angels' loss last night to Toronto for the 2nd straight night. Your other complimentary play, I'm going to take the Cubs to complete a sweep of the Atlanta Braves. I know Jason Hammel has not pitched well of late, and that's perhaps an understatement, I will admit. But listen, he does have a 3.88 earned run average in his last 10 home starts since his last win way back on April 27th. Problem is he doesn't get a lot of run support, but the Cubs have certainly been scoring runs here in this weekend series, so I'm going to go with them. They've taken the first 3, 7-1, 5-3, and of course yesterday 9-7. Remember, they had won 15 out of 16, and then they lost 3 straight games, getting swept at home by the Tigers, and since then they've won 3 in a row, so that's 18 out of 22 overall. Hit 4 more homers yesterday. They've won 11 of their last 13 at Wrigley with 19 homers in that stretch, averaging 7 runs a game in their last 7 at home. Meanwhile, you got a Braves team that has lost 21 out of 23 on the road, and in 19 of those 23 games, they've scored 3 runs or less. Again, I'm going to go with the Cubbies on the run line here. Braves starter Matt Whistler, a 5.30 earned run average in 7 road starts this season. 37 innings pitched, 37 1/3 to be exact. In those 37-plus innings, he's given up 50 hits, and he's also walked 12. So that's 62 base runners in 37 innings in those road starts, which is why he has a 5.30 ERA on the road. The team has also lost his last 3 road outings and 4 of his last 5 outside of Atlanta. Let's talk about these football games. I'll do these in reverse chronological order. First of all, you got the Tennessee-St. Louis game. That's the big featured game because, of course, it's Jeff Fisher's return to Tennessee, to Nashville. It's also the home debut of Marcus Mariota, blah, 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 blah. Listen, the Titans lost 31-24 at Atlanta in their preseason opener. And Mariota, making his first start, his first 2 series, 2 turnovers, led to 10 points for Atlanta. But then his third and final drive on a night that he actually had 20 snaps, he directed a 10-play, 80-yard touchdown drive. Now, the Rams, meanwhile, lost their opener 18-3 at Oakland, and it was a series in which Nick Foles, their new starting quarterback, led them to a field goal on the first drive and then went 3 and out on the second drive. But it was a sloppy game for the Rams. Only 15 first downs, only 285 yards total offense, 10 penalties going against them. You got a situation here tonight which I think there's a lot of interesting subplots, because when I look at what these two teams did in week number 1 against their respective opponents, I have to take those opponents and look what they did in week number 2. And here's what I'm driving at. So you had a Titans team that lost 31-24 at Atlanta, okay? And Mariota gift wrapped the first 10 points for the Falcons. But then the Falcons, pulled most of their starters, and Tennessee put plenty of points on the board. Well, we saw how bad the Atlanta Falcons defense was in the game the other night at the Jets, where after Matt Ryan and most of the starters left with a 14-0 lead after 1 quarter, the Jets reeled off 30 straight points in the second and third quarters, right? Now, on the other hand, you look at what Oakland did. Look at what Oakland did at home against St. Louis. Look at how good Oakland played on the road last night against, I think, a pretty damn good Minnesota team, okay? Defensively, they more than held their own. So if I had to lean one way or another in this game, I'd probably grab the points in Jeff Fisher's return with the Rams to Nashville. But again, it's such a difficult spot. I think some of the things you have to look at in this game is that Greg Williams, the defensive coordinator, a sack-happy, blitz-happy guy for the Rams, is definitely going to bring the pressure on Mariota, who, never saw much pressure playing under center because he hardly ever took snaps under center when in college at Oregon, right? And it's not the first time Williams did this. Remember, he has history. Remember back in 2011, Colin Kaepernick, his rookie season, when he was with the Saints, 46 plays Kaepernick was on, 32 of them were bringing the heat against him. A couple other things you have to consider here is that once Marcus Mariota leaves the game, you've got, Zach Menenberger, who had a very good preseason opener, going 8 for 11 for 129 yards, leading 2 touchdown drives, and a veteran, Charlie Whitehurst, who was 5 for 5 with his passes in the opener, coming off the bench. But you also have experience coming off St. Louis's bench with Case Keenum and Austin Davis, who are both vying for the number 2 job, with Keenum currently having the inside track. So again, I think it's a very difficult game. I'd lean a little towards St. Louis. Interesting game to watch. I don't know if it's an interesting game to bet on. I can tell you one thing. I don't think there's anything worth watching in the Dallas-San Francisco game. The Cowboys lost 17-7 in San Diego 2 Thursdays ago. It was my first preseason play of the year, as I went with the Chargers as a 10-dime play on that one. They didn't play anybody. They were missing their top 3 running backs, Randall, McFadden, and Dunbar. The latter 2 were supposed to be playing some tonight. Des Bryant was out. He's going to be out tonight. Tony Romo didn't play the opener. Brandon Whedon started in that game. Now, Romo normally you would think would see some action here tonight. Second game of the season, okay? And it would be his preseason debut. But there's some uncertainty there. Because, listen, the Cowboys are going to be without 3, if not 4 members of their starting offensive line tonight. They're going to be without 2 of their 3 top tight ends. They're going to be without 2 of their 3 top receivers, as Des Bryant is still out too. So are you going to risk Tony Romo, who your whole season hinges on whether he can stay healthy, in this situation? And then you throw in the added bonus of the Levi Stadium field being probably the worst in the NFL, right? It was just re-sodded, or they put down a new field, I guess is the way you say it, the correct way, because right after Taylor Swift played there a week ago. This is a bad field. So you want to take San Francisco, right? But do you really want to bet the 49ers? These aren't the 49ers you're accustomed to seeing the past couple of years. I mean, after Colin Kaepernick, who was unimpressive in one series in an opening week loss to Houston, going 1 for 3 for 14 yards, takes a seat on the bench, your money would be on Blaine Gabbert. That's enough to scare me away. I want to watch this game. I want to bet this game. I just think it's just a horrific game here for today's schedule. Now, your early game is between Pittsburgh and Green Bay. Riddle me this. How much is Ben Roethlisberger going to play today? The beat writers don't know. The Steelers haven't announced it. You just don't know. Normally, one of the reasons I took the Vikings last night is because it was their third preseason game because they played in the Hall of Fame game. Of course, they beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. Normally, Steelers home opener, third preseason game. I'd say this is a great spot to jump on Pittsburgh. Steelers lost 23-21 at Jacksonville. They lost the Minnesota Hall of Fame game 14-3. Defense allowed 285 yards per game, only 3 sacks, only 1 interception in the first 2 games. They're going to be tested tonight by Aaron Rodgers. But riddle me this. How much is Aaron Rodgers going to play tonight? Yes. Mike McCarthy wants his team to get off to a faster start offensively at the outset of the regular season. So it wasn't really surprising that you had Rodgers throwing 19 passes in the opener, which was an upset win as a 2.5-point dog at New England. Now, last year in the second and third preseason games, Rodgers played 69 snaps. But he threw 19 passes in the preseason opener. How much action will he see tonight? No one knows. No one will say. As for the Steelers, when Roethlisberger, who only played 1 series against Jacksonville, once he sits on the bench, Bruce Gradkowski, the expected backup quarterback, he just returned from the injured list from a shoulder injury. He's not expected to play tonight. You know who's going to get the bulk of the playing action? Landry Jones. This guy has thrown the ball 78 times already in 2 preseason games. It's not exactly efficient either. 39 completions, only 328 yards. Think about that. He's thrown the ball 78 times. He's completed 39 passes, and he's only netted out 328 yards. And he's been sacked 4 times behind an offensive line that has continually been reshuffled. I don't know which way you go because, again, I'm a handicapper. I'm not a psychic. I don't know how much Roethlisberger is going to play. I don't know if Romo is going to play. I don't know how much Rodgers is going to play. With so many variables, how can you bet these games? Even though I say it's a 50-50 betting proposition, you got to be crazy. To me, that's why baseball is the best bet today, and that's why my play is going to be the Red Sox and Royals game. That'll do it, guys. Best of luck, and I'll talk to you again tomorrow when we do this one more time.